Hello, my name is Kevin Bernstein, and today I want to walk you through how we can use agentic orchestration to combine robots, agents, and humans into an end-to-end workflow to process requests flowing into a centralized email inbox. And to do this, we'll look at UI Bank, a fictitious company created for this demo, and more specifically their payroll team. Each year, they receive thousands of emails which are manually investigated, routed, and processed by a skilled team of payroll specialists. Thousands of hours are spent each year responding to simple payroll requests. And to solve for this, we'll look at how agentic orchestration can be leveraged to automate these transactional tasks away. We'll see how agents, robots, and humans can work in tandem to bring tremendous efficiency improvements to customers and employee-facing support operations. We'll focus today on the employee maintenance aspects of payroll, where oftentimes employees are reaching out to the team to process things like direct deposit updates, name changes, address changes, and so forth, where a lot of manual, labor-intensive tasks take place. And one example of this is with Michael Pearson, who recently got married. We see here an email that he drafted to the payroll team where he needs help updating his direct deposit information. He recently moved addresses and is looking to update that as well. And lastly, he has a question here on how to update his W-4 to include 4 dependents. But as we'll soon see, this is not something that the payroll automation can handle, and it's a task for the HR team to get involved with. Next, we'll talk about the agentic orchestration for this process. First, the process starts with going through and extracting the information off of the email through communications mining and document understanding. We then process the required actions off of this email using the labels that we identified through communications mining. Lastly, we work with agents as well as human loop validation to draft a custom reply and send this to the customer. Let's start the process now, where first thing that will happen is the agent will go off to communications mining, passing the received email in, where it goes through and gets classified into the various different labels. Because this email does not have any attachments on it, we skip over this step and then move directly into this employee lookup agent. To dive a little further into that, I want to actually show our agent builder platform and talk about what this agent is doing behind the scenes. This agent is instructed with a natural language prompt to go through and essentially help us understand what the company ID and what the employee ID are for a given email that was received. And in this case, we pass in the email content into our agent. Our agent's going to go through and use this information to call a number of different tools that are associated with its natural language prompts. And in this case, we're going to run a lookup company tool as well as a lookup employee ID tool. If I run this on this agent, you'll see that we run the lookup company operation first. And this is because the agent is going to require a company ID in order to call the subsequent automation, in this case, our lookup employee ID automation, which then it uses to finally find the employee ID. And then this gets passed back out to the rest of the process flow. Heading back over to agentic orchestration, we see the process is currently in a pause state due to the breakpoint we had set in a previous step. We used communication mining to classify labels and extract various entities off the original email, and we'll now use these to conditionally call a series of tasks that update the direct deposit information and address. And as I resume this process, we'll see a parallel execution take place that is conditionally calling the right automations and agents appropriately. And in this case, we see records being processed for updating the direct deposit as well as the address. Next, we call a response agent who's been given the task of compiling a follow-up response. To do this, this agent receives a copy of the original email as well as the list of tasks accomplished so far. Our agent will review what's been accomplished, and if there are any outstanding items from the original email, it'll escalate those out to a human for guidance on how to proceed. And in this case, we'd expect our agent to go through and escalate because Michael had questions about his W-4. In Action Center, we can see that our agent create an escalation task. And in this case, we note that Michael Peterson requested to change his W-4 to include 4 dependents, which requires HR intervention. And so we can instruct our agent using natural language, in this case, to have Michael reach out to his HR department head to handle this update for us. And so I'll submit this response, and if we head back over to agentic orchestration, we'll see that the agent receives this response and continues on with its drafting of its response email, and then forwards that over into the next task, which is, in this case, a human-in-the-loop email reply validation escalation that we'll take a look at now as well. Here, we see the email approval workflow, which contains within it the original email, the steps taken so far by our agentic orchestration process, as well as the replied body that the previous agent had gone through and drafted. At this point, we would go through and review this email to make sure everything looks good. And in this case, we see here the direct deposit and address update took place. And then we also have here a note saying that he should contact his HR department lead for matters regarding his W-4. And so I'll go ahead and submit this response now. And just as we saw before, the agent will receive the response and continue on sending this email and then closing out this transaction.